Okay, let's talk about the data mine that happened recently. A fantastic gentleman named Null Sharp went through the files in the game and got us a bunch of stuff we're not supposed to know. Primarily what a lot of characters look like up close and personal. Now, a lot of people will start to make theories based on these things that we're not supposed to have ever seen, but here's my take on this practice before we start looking into what we can make use of from this set of images. Firstly, let's say that Tarsier Studios wanted to make their game mysterious. Well, they did a good job of that already, and Little Nightmares is fantastic for it. It's a great atmosphere and has wonderful lore behind it. What this means is that everything we have been shown is carefully and painstakingly crafted into their universe, and what we see for a reason. Therefore, to go into the game's files and get stuff we were never meant to see produces a problem in analysis. Let's take, for instance, the lady's face. As a side note, she's been labeled the Governess before this data mine happened. If you download her picture or any of the ones that are associated with it from the Little Nightmares website, it's actually labeled Governess. So, we know now what the lady's face looks like under her mask. From the way her face looks, I could start making a bunch of theories about how her beauty and avarice and all that are the reasons for this, that, or the other, or why she may or may not be still related to Six or whatever, but consider this also. If we were never meant to see the face of the lady, then this face that we do get might not actually be important to the story. It may be that the face we see in the data mine is just a thing that is on the 3D model, and that if we ever were supposed to see the lady's face later on, in more DLC or in the comics or whatever, they had a completely different thing planned. We can start making suppositions based on the stuff that we were not meant to see. I mean, this isn't to say that the things we haven't seen yet aren't valid at all. For instance, the janitor's name tag reads Roger. I think more important than the fact that we know his name now, the thing to take away from that is that there are name tags with the Moz logo on them that people wear. What can we glean from that? We see that the prisoner kid and the runaway kid are two different character models, which is just icing on top of the cake that was the already disproven theory that I talked about in the last video. The data mine provides us with a lot of good information, and some information that I think we should just shelve for now because of its not supposed to have ever been seen nature. So for the purposes of this video, we're leaving out any information that I believe was never meant to be seen, because that kind of information is just rife with the ability to be completely retconned or reinterpreted by the studio. Let's instead take a look at the things that we have seen in-game, but can now have a better look at it. Firstly, let's talk about the paintings and pictures. On the child's drawings, we notice some pretty solid themes. The man with the hat has his eyes blacked out. That has to be the janitor, obviously. Pictures of him reaching out and catching kids, hanging cages up, one picture that seems to imply that he takes them from their beds while they sleep. Kinda creepy. There are a bunch of pictures of eyes, one of which has the petrification beam shooting from it. But what's more of note, however, is that there are several eye drawings that are crossed out, as if they were blinded somehow. Does this mean that some of the kids have found a way to disable the I-beam security systems? I mean, it does make sense. Not all the doors with the eyes above them have an active security beam on them. Perhaps it can be turned on and off somehow, or some of the eyes that should function don't? Are the children's drawings actually a sort of like coded communication system for the kids in the Maw? Well, let's look further. There are two drawings of someone dressed in yellow with a darkened face. I think it's safe to say that these drawings are probably about Six. I'll be honest, I only discovered the other drawings of Six in the Maw on like my 4th playthrough. The one in the dining room was the only one that caught me the first few times. What's curious though, is this one. It shows Six with what appears to be encroaching darkness around her. This could be a stylistic choice made by the child drawing it, or it could symbolize that the kids know she's been gone for a while, or, and this is possibly the weirdest and most worrying case, it could imply that Six's essence-draining powers that she shows off at the end of the game are already known to the kids, and the darkness isn't threatening her. Rather, it's coming back to her, like the dark mist from the guests that she absorbs. I will touch on this topic in another video, so keep it in mind. What's up with these things, though? Some kind of weird crab or bug-like monster is depicted 3 times in these drawings. Once about to eat something, once having caught a kid, and once being avoided by standing on a table. And then there's this drawing. So why does the janitor have 10 limbs? What are these tick-looking things? We haven't seen any creature like them just yet. But, so here are the monsters we encounter in the game so far. There's the janitor, the chefs, the lady, the guests, the granny, the leeches, and the monster in the shoe pit. Could that be what these weird crab things are? I mean, probably not, but at least it's worth the idea. How about some of the framed paintings that we can see all over the place in the ladies' quarters and similar, slightly less dingy places in the Maw? For instance, there's the paintings of the girl in the ladies' bedroom. With a full view of it, we know it's definitely Six. The flap-over buttons on her raincoat are even exactly the same. We can therefore also infer that, since the face and hair are exactly the same, the painting of the lady with the little girl is, in fact, Six. In that painting, Six is wearing the same kind of shabby clothes that the other girl prisoners wear. A pleated white skirt and a t-shirt. Where have we seen that before? She's got messy, long, untamed hair, and looks, as a whole, not very good. And yet, she appears with the lady in her full garb. What does this imply? Well, look again at the file name we get when we download pictures related to the lady. Governess. A governess is a woman responsible for the education of children in a private household, popular for the upper class in Britain and Russia in the 1800s and earlier, but still available even today. Could it possibly be that the lady was supposed to be the instructor for Six? What could she have been teaching her? This is the topic for yet another video that I will touch on later. This one right now, this video can only contain so much, and man, I'm trying to pack just a lot of stuff into it. So we have paintings of the Hanged Man, and we have paintings of the Hanged Man's head, and his head with a sort of stitched bag over it. Just what the hell is this guy? With a head like that one, it's pretty certain that he's not the father of Six, like I once supposed in another video. This is something that we actually see a few times, the head of a creature being depicted in a gross and deformed manner. In specific, we see the raincoat painting of Six with 3 different heads on it. Look closer though. They're actually literally pulled over her normal head and then tied around her throat with rope. Well, that looks like a torture scene, doesn't it? We also see this bag over the head with rope around the neck on both the male and female prisoner children models. So, what can we get from that? So, aside from all the questions that arise from the pieces of art and their kind of questionable content, the bigger picture really is this. Why is there so much art depicting Six in the Maw? What about Six is so important that there are so many different pieces of art depicting her? I mean, there's something that we must be really missing about Six, something that's a serious game changer. What do you think? Tell me down in the comments. We'll take a look at some more of the things that may have been gotten out of this data mine in the next couple videos, but I'm going to be focusing less on the stuff we got from the data mine and more from actual theory crafting and story type video stuff. The data mine is nice to have, and I really appreciate that the gentleman did it for us, because it gives us good stuff to look at, but I'm also kind of on the fence as to whether or not to trust any of the stuff that we shouldn't have seen yet, like the painting of Dr. No with the weird stubbly fingers. We're not supposed to see that. The fact that we get the close-ups of the janitor and his name being Roger, I don't know if that's something that we're supposed to have seen. So, take all of the stuff in the data mine with a grain of salt, because it could be that it's just not the real thing. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed it. If you did, the like and subscribe buttons are waiting just below this video to be clicked on such that they can be mined for data as well later. You can also follow my socials, that's the Facebook and Twitter that are in the description box. And if you feel like it, you can help me keep making videos like this one by donating a little bit to the Patreon link that's down there as well. Coming up real soon, because they decided to delay the electronic release of the comic book for another 2 weeks, will be the comic book video once that comes out. I'm also working on 2 separate other videos with some stuff in it for theories about Six, theories about the other monsters and things like that. And of course, if you caught my video yesterday, you know that I am in the middle of doing an interview with some of the people at Tarsier Studios to try to find out some good information for you guys. So keep a lookout for all of those videos coming up soon, as well as maybe some stuff from Bendy and the Ink Machine. Think that's one that I'm going to start taking a look at as well. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.